All right, KNES 310. This is Dr. Brian Campbell. I'm going to be your content instructor for this class. Miss Lucy Campbell is going to be your administrative um, instructor for this class. We're team teaching this because it's a double section. We have a lot of students, and we thought it would be better to kind of do it together to keep up, especially during COVID. It's crazy times. But keep up with emails such as questions you guys may have about the class, content, grades, those kind of things. So I'm going to be in charge of your content, your lectures, explaining concepts, although Miss Lucy can help out with that as well. But questions in regard to when is the test and uh, grade average and just general kind of questions like that, because I'm doing an overload this semester, so I have a lot of administrative stuff to do. So to kind of take some of that load off of me, Miss Lucy's stepping up to help me with some of those kind of questions. So if it's involved with content, questions about bones, muscles, anatomical kinesiology, hit me up. If it's questions about class, things aren't showing up, schedule changes, if you just need something outside of class content wise, hit Miss Lucy up. And then obviously, if I need to, she'll forward emails to me if need be. So I'm going to keep this short and sweet because apparently on online lectures, that's what works. Okay. So I hope everybody's doing well. I know things are weird and different. I am traditionally a chalkboard kind of teacher, so this is the online method is new to me as well. Okay, so that being said, there are a few things that I'm going to do to try to help everybody in these difficult times. Um, but before I get to that, let me again introduce myself. Brian Campbell. I'm from Delcom, Louisiana, and I did my bachelor's of science. This is maybe to introduce you guys to me and my background, and maybe we share some things in common. From Delcom, Louisiana, Vermilion Parish, I did my Bachelor of Science right here at UL in athletic training, and then I traveled across the globe to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, to do my master's in exercise science. Miss Lucy and I both have our undergraduate and bachelor's here at UL and at Southern Mississippi. And then I went to Auburn University to work on my doctorate in biomechanics. Uh, I am dyslexic. Maybe some of you guys are dyslexic. So my brain works better for 3D visualization of movement kind of things. I can't spell biomechanics, but I can understand three-dimensional concepts. So that's what kind of worked for me. Just like uh, some of you guys are going to find what niche works for you in the real world. Biomechanics is my niche. So I got my doctorate and I came back here to teach uh, my people. In other words, people that here at UL, because that's where I came. And when I took anatomical kinesiology, I said, I want to do that for a living. And so I'm very fortunate. I never take a day for granted. I'm just extremely blessed to be here and teach this stuff. As you're going to see from the video lectures, I'm very passionate about this stuff. Okay, so uh, Miss Lucy has an exercise science background as well. So again, she can help with some of these things, which is important because maybe some of my analogies, I teach a lot with analogies, maybe it's just not clicking. And so maybe we can get Miss Lucy and she can kind of explain things from her perspective and maybe that works for you. So this is another positive about team teaching is that you get, maybe another perspective on some concepts that may not be understanding. So what is this class about? This class is about human movement. Everyone in kinesiology needs to understand human movement because that's what kinesiology is, right? Movement studies. So this really is kind of the most important class. I feel like a dog scratching. You can't see my leg, but my leg is shaking down there. This is the penultimate class for your major, human movement studies. That's what kinesiology is. So I'm going to teach you how the body moves. And yeah, there's some things you probably already know. That's awesome. But we're going to expand on that and really delve deep into what I like to call illusionary motion. So in other words, like flexion, extension, right? Everybody's kind of got that. But what happens when it doesn't look like this? What happens when this happens, right? Typically we learn things from the distal, the further away part moving. But what happens when the further away part stays still and the closer to part moves? Because rotationally, right, like clockwise, counterclockwise. So I'm going to teach you how from here to there, even though here to there and here to there are spinning two different ways of a clock, it's actually the same rotation and the same name from the perspective of those bones that articulate those joints. So there's a lot of illusions that come from really developing and mastering human motion. And that's what I'm here for. I'm going to teach you, I'm going to train you like the Jedi Masters how to see those illusions. Here's another example. This motion, me looking at you and looking to my right, is the exact same motion as if I keep my head looking at you and I move my body to the left. How do I know? Well, when I go from here to there, I'm looking at my right shoulder. So therefore, when I go from here to there, I'm still looking at my right shoulder. I got to the same place, so it has to be the same motion. So we're going to get into those kind of things. Starting off, if you want to read up for the first lectures, are going to be about planes and axes and dimensions, 3D of straight line, 3D and rotation. Before we get into how the body moves, we have to understand like the rules of movement. That's what dimensions are. Like, you know, the fish can swim in a bulk, in a pond, and how can the fish swim? Well, it could swim infinitely many directions, but it's all made up of the fish going forward, back, left, right, up, and down, right? And so we have our 3 dimensions of straight line movement, and then we have this other 3 dimensions that we really don't talk about very much, and that's dimensional rotations, dimensions of spin. An easy way to think about this is if you have a child and you're playing with the child or you're coaching the child, think about the 3 different ways that child can move, like their whole body, right? Front, back, left, right, up, down. But also that child has 3 different ways they can spin. The child could do a front and back roll, right? Or a front and back flip. The child could do a cartwheel to the right or to the left, and then the child could just spin around like my kids do before they pass out from being dizzy. So there's a lot of similarities between straight line and rotational motion, but there's a lot of differences, and that's what we're going to delve into and explore before we get to the fun stuff, the human movement stuff, okay? So again, I wanted to introduce you guys to myself and Miss Lucy, who happens to be my wife. We both have exercise science backgrounds. My specialty is human movement. I love teaching this stuff. And in terms of the class, I put up the syllabus. It's all there. Obviously, if you have any questions, hit us up. But this is a very straightforward class. I teach you information. I tell you the key points, and you test on that information. There's no subjective interpreting papers and projects and, oh, that leads to headaches. They didn't do their job. He didn't do their job. He did more than me. It's just information. It's knowledge. Because when you guys get into therapy school or the real world or in clinics, a lot of it is information based. So in other words, I'm going to teach you the ABCs of human movement. And then when you go on to graduate school or when you go on to your jobs, that's when you're going to learn how to put those ABCs into words and how those words become sentences and how those sentences become paragraphs and stories and poetry. So before you can go on and make poetry down the road, I got to teach you the ABCs of human movement, okay? So very straightforward, lectures, information, and tests, all in the syllabus. Your course content, I'm not making you purchase a book. Everything is posted already on Moodle. You could either print that out or pull it up. Because of COVID, it's a crazy year, I'm letting you use its open book for the test, okay? That being said, you have a time limit, so I wouldn't say, oh, it's open book, or I'm just going to wait for the test and just read everything I need to know. You know, it's better if you know it going in and just kind of using the notes to go exactly to clarify some things, or if you can't remember a word, right? That's always good. But the course material is meant to complement my lectures, okay? So I recommend you read it before the lecture. You have it out and you take notes during the lecture. You could pause, repeat, and just use them together. They're meant to be symbiotic, okay? I think I said that word right. Don't ask me to spell it. So anyway, welcome. And again, you watch the lectures, you check out the notes, make those two work together. You contact me anytime you have questions about content, you contact Miss Lucy anytime you have questions about anything else, and we're going to make this a smooth, easy semester, and everybody's going to get the grade that they work for. Okay? All right, guys, be well.